All right, Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. All right, this lesson, Lord willing, is edifying, quick and to the point, is going into the 10 horns in Daniel 7, as well as the 7 heads and 10 horns in Revelation 17. Now, earlier I was doing a speaking, and I had forgot, which each of the kingdoms were and the differences. So I decided, hey, why not refresh it myself and go over it. And Lord willing, hey, this is you know edifying. But this is I'll start here. This is Daniel chapter 7, and I'll start at verse 7. And after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. And this, I'm focusing on the 10 horns, but this is speaking of the Roman Empire. And then this Roman Empire will be reborn again, but just sticking with the this Roman Empire. It had great iron teeth, meaning its military might was strong, that it crushed anybody that opposed it. And what made it diverse from other kingdoms was that it had a senate, it had Caesars, they had elections, and basically they had councils, and that set them apart from other kingdoms. Whereas other kingdoms, they would have kings, and there would be, the heir to the throne would be the king's son, and so forth. But this, they had elections, they had a senate house. They elected a new Caesar every year, and this is all in I believe it's First Maccabees 8. Let me double check. Oh, you know what? I can just do this. This is First Maccabees chapter 8, and I'll start at. I'll just get to the point. Verse 14, First Maccabees chapter 8 and 14. Yet for all this, none of them wore a crown, or was clothed in purple to be magnified thereby. Moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end they might be well ordered, and that they committed their government to one man every year, who ruled over all the country, and that all were obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them. But the point being, this is part of what made this fourth kingdom diverse from all the previous kingdoms. And they also absorbed pretty much every kingdom that they conquered. They absorbed things from them. They absorbed different ideas, whether it be architecture or street design or military tactics. All these things got absorbed, and they also, rather than conquering them and bringing them into slavery, they made them tributaries, meaning they could keep doing whatever they were doing, just give them money. And back to Daniel 7 and 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. And these horns represent different kingdoms. So here I just have a list of the 10 kingdoms. This is Suebi, Ostrogoths, Visigoths, the Huns, the Saxons, the Lombards, the Franks, the Vandals, the Heruli, and the Burgundians. So all these, I had a hard time finding a decent map that showed all these names, but pretty much all those that I named off here, they were all in the European, all in these territories over here. So Lord willing, it will make sense later, but they were in these territories, which would represent those. So, which this actually shows it kind of well, but it doesn't. I was hoping for something that would outline and color the regions, but this works well enough. So you see, the Saxons are in Britain, the Visigoths were in what would be Spain, and so forth. So now from there, because horns, it doesn't just mean like a come on, man. It doesn't just whatever. This was not doing this before. Anyway, since that website wanted me to turn off the ad blocker, it's not happening. But I'll just go here. Horns represented in the Bible, or horns represent power in the Bible. So horns are emblems of power, dominion, glory, and fierceness, as they are chief means of attack and defense with animals endowed with them. So this is the representing power. So here I'll go to Psalms chapter 20, and I believe this is let's see, in the NLT. This is Psalms chapter 20, and I'll start at verse 7. Some nations boast of their chariots and horses, but we boast in the name of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, our power. Those nations will fall down and collapse, but we will rise up and stand firm. Give victory to our King, O Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Answer our cry for help. So some trust in their chariots and horses. These represent power, like you have horsepower today. And then these things, they represent power. This is Psalm 75 and verse 10. All the horns of the wicked also will I cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted. So the power of the wicked are going to be cut off. And when Yahushua returns, all the different militaries of the world, all that is going to be cut off. But the horns of Israel are going to be exalted through Yahushua. This is Daniel verse 8, another one just going into the horns some more. So this is Daniel chapter 8 and verse 4. I saw the ram pushing westward, which actually, let's start at verse 3. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. So this is representing the Persians and the Medes, meaning that at first the Medes were ruling, they were in power, and then after a period of time, then the Persians took over, and they were more powerful than the Medes. In verse 4, I saw the rams pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before them, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great. So, and this is speaking of the Persians and the Medes became a great nation, very powerful. In verse 5, and as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And this is representing the Greeks or the Hellenes, which is that horn between the eyes is representing Alexander the Great, representing power again, representing that goat didn't touch the ground, representing how fast it was moving. And he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And verse 7, and I saw him come close to the ram, and he was moving with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his two horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. So this is speaking of that goat that waxed strong. He broke the power. He broke his military might, broke the Persians and the Medes. He broke them down to where they couldn't do anything. They were now subjected to that goat. Verse 8, therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. So this is speaking of Alexander the Great, and I'll get another precept. This is First Maccabees chapter 1, and I'll start at verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, the king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. So this is speaking of that same thing in Daniel, the eighth chapter. First Maccabees 1 and 2, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. So he had a lot of battles. He was very, very powerful. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 3, and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. So Alexander the Great, he took over many nations, and he was lifted up with pride. And he gathered together a strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So this is that going into that. He split his kingdom among his top generals. And that's why the main ones that you read about are Ptolemy, Seleucus. I always forget the other two. All right, Ptolemy, Seleucus. Ptolemy, Cassander, Seleucus, and Antigones. But that's who he split up his. He had more generals, but that's who he split his kingdom up to. But back to this real quick, because this is Psalms chapter 75 and verse 4. I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked lift not up the horn. Verse 5, lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. So, don't get prideful. Like Alexander the Great, he said he was lifted up. He was high up there with pride, because he did he took over, the known world back then in 12 years. And that's incredibly fast. For back then, what might have took 50 years or however long, a generation, what might have took a lifetime for somebody to do. He did it in 10 years, or within, 12 years, showing how fast he was moving, but showing that, hey, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is moving in the earth. He makes these things happen. You know, it wasn't just Alexander. It wasn't him at all. It was Yahweh Bashim Yahushai using him. This is Psalm 75 and verse 6. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. So it's Yahweh Bashim Yahushai that sets up these different kingdoms. He put down the Persians and the Medes, and he set up the Greeks. And then after the Greeks, the fourth kingdom, that fourth beast, he took down the Greeks and set up the Romans. Now, and this time, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is putting down the Romans, which Alexander the Greek was an Edomite, and so are the Romans today, and so were the Romans back then. They were Edomites. They were ruled by Edomites. This is the fourth kingdom. You know, Esau's blessing was a sword, and the Roman Empire, their main thing that made them so strong was their sword. They were like iron. You know, they broke up everything. But in this time, Esau Edom is being brought down, and the kingdom of Israel is being raised up. And when Yahushua returns, it's going to be fully raised up. But continuing on, this is Psalms 75 and verse 6 again. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But the Most High is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. For in the hand of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai there is a cup, and the wine is red, it is full of mixture, and he poureth out of the same. But the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. So all the wicked, you're gonna have to drink of the cup of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai's wrath. The Israelites had to drink it. We had to be in subjection under all these kingdoms. So now, when Yahushua returns, it's going to be your turn to drink from this cup. Your turn to be subjected. And you're going to have to drink it all down. The dregs and everything, that stuff, the grainy stuff at the bottom. Oh, you're going to have to get the nasty. But anyway, continuing on. But I will declare forever. I will sing the praises to the power of Jacob. So we're going to be praising Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All the horns of the wicked also will I cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted. I read that earlier, but that's it for that. So this is This is back to Daniel, and I'm going to jump down to verse 24. Let me see here. This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And this is what the Roman Empire did. They conquered the whole earth at that time. And again, today, through Babylon the Great, with Babylon the Great being the head of it. Verse 24, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. So this kingdom that comes up now, this represents America, because here in the New World, which is the fourth part of the world, the kingdoms that were here were Britain, Spain, and France. And this horn that rose up through Britain, it conquered all of them. It went to war with all of them. With what is that? Through the Revolutionary War, I believe the Spanish-American War, and Oh, I can't remember the one with France. I know they had the Louisiana Purchase where they basically bought a bunch of land from France. But basically, these other kingdoms that were here were kicked out. You know, for America, Babylon the Great to take over. So from there, once again, these seven heads are, or not seven heads, these 10 kings are the Suebi, Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Huns, Saxons, Lombards, Franks, the Vandals, the Heruli, and Burgundians. So here, just to look at this map again, you know, basically this area, you know, the Europe area, not the Africa area. And so what would be today, what this would be today would be the modern NATO and EU countries. So here, this is Revelation chapter 17 and verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So this scarlet-covered beast is that representation of, let me see, the representation of the Roman Empire that was reborn. This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were like as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So this kingdom, this beast is like a mixture of all them previous kingdoms all put together, you know, because it conquered, basically it conquered and absorbed them. And I saw one of its heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And this was representing that Roman Empire. So all the world is wandering after the Roman Empire, whether they know it or not. So, but this is that beast that was born again, because it fell at one point, you know, during the fall of Rome, and then the Byzantine Empire was brought up, and then over a period of 1,000 years, it was brought back. This is Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So this is representing the basically that serpent that was in the garden. He became a great dragon. And this is representing Esau Edom. So he became a great dragon. That dragon representing the Roman Empire, you know, representing his draconian laws, his the way that he shed blood, and his wisdom as well, because the dragon represents wisdom. I believe in Ezekiel it says, "Thou art wiser than Daniel." But again, it says, "And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So 1,000 year period, they were in the oh, I'll just read the next verse. Verse 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit. So they were in subjection in Europe. And they were living in caves. But the bottomless pit representing Europe, because they don't have any resources. So let's see here. What is it? I'll come back to this. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 5 and verse 23. Actually, this is verse 22. And my soul recovered the spirit of understanding, and I began to talk with the Most High again, and said, O Lord, that bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee only one vine, and of all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit, which represents Israel, and of all the flowers thereof, one lily. So that pit representing the land, and that land that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has chosen is Israel. But just to show that bottomless pit was Europe, because there was no resources. Verse 3 again, and also when you read Revelation, it can be tricky because it's not going in chronological order. You're reading things that are happening in prophecy, so you have to jump around a lot. This is where the understanding of precept upon precept comes into play very heavy, because you have to go back and forth, because it's not speaking of things happening chronologically. You can't read this book and get understanding of it and read it in order. You have to go back and forth sometimes. And Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has to open up your understanding. Verse 3, Revelation 20 and verse 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, so that 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. So this time, which is from the Renaissance, which means rebirth, from that time he had a little space. So he was reborn again. That head that had a deadly wound, now it's back, and it knows. Oops. This is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. So this devil, which represents the devil not being a literal devil, but the physical counterpart, the physical manifestation, Esau, Edom, he knows that he has a short period of time to rule, and he's trying to get as much done as he can. He's trying to get his birthright back. That's why you see everything going on, which ultimately the MOTB is him trying to get that birthright back, him trying to be a god, him trying to live forever, which he's not going to be able to succeed. He's only going to get so far. But let's see, back to, I think I was at Revelation. Yeah. Revelation 13 and verse 3, and I saw one of his heads as he were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? So this represents the NATO and the EU. This is that whole beast system, everything put together, that whole conglomeration. So let's go. Yeah. Back to Revelation 17 and verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So the 7 heads and 10 horns representing the NATO and the EU countries. So let's go ahead and get this. So actually, let me jump down first. Actually, this is Revelation 17 and verse 9. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 horns are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth. Now these mountains, they represent kingdoms as well. They represent different governments. They represent those. Like you have a good one is like the G7 summit, meaning that it's the top people in these governments, and the summit meeting the top of the mountain. So they meet together, these heads of governments, and have meetings discussing what they're going to do, their plans for that year and the next maybe 10 years, however long. But these top government officials, they all get together. Verse 10, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And once again, representing that the Roman Empire being reborn, because at the time when this was written, the Roman Empire was still around. When the Apostle John was on, or John the Revelator was on the on the Isle of Patmos, the Roman Empire was still around. So after that, the Roman Empire died. It had that deadly wound. And now, again, with the Renaissance, the rebirth, now it's back. So this is that one that was that came back to life, that wound that was healed. Verse 11, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition, meaning going into wickedness. Because was another scripture aided. Oh man. Psalms 58 and verse 3, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they are born, speaking lies. So as soon as they were born again, the rebirth, they started lying, which the rebirth being in the Renaissance. What did they do in the Renaissance? This is Job. They had a thing called iconoclasm. This is Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? And he's Esau Edom. He's ruling right now. Let's see here. Well, I can't spell. Which iconoclasm is, I'll just read the quick Google thing. It says iconoclasm is the social belief in the importance of the destruction of icons and other images or monuments, most frequently for religious and political reasons. So this is that short time, as soon as you come out speaking lies, rejection or destruction of religious images. So they went out destroying images. And so like I'm getting a little breaker or destroyer of images. Renaissance. No, I don't want to go there. This is Renaissance and the Renaissance, and the Edom Online says a great period or revival of classical. No. Here we go, just to the point. Down here, be born again, rise again, reappear, renewed, be born. So this is them. This is that rebirth. They went out and destroyed all the images. They covered up the faces of the judges. They made themselves, as to be God. They did all that. They put themselves up. They covered up the images. Everything. They hid our history. But back to Revelation chapter 17 says, and I'll get to this. I'll come back to this. This is Revelation 17 and verse 11. I'll start with verse 12, Salakia. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So these are 10 different, how do you say it? Kingdoms, 10 different states. These represent the EU, or what would be the ECC. So this is a European Economic Community. It says the European Economic Community, or ECC, was a regional organization created by the Treaty of Rome of 1957. It was subsequently renamed the European Community upon becoming integrated into the first pillar of the newly formed European Union in 1993. So let's see, the ECC was also known as the European Common Market. But let's see here. The community's initial aim was to bring about economic integration, including a common market and customs union among its 6 founding members: Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands, and West Germany. So, it's basically it gained a common set of institutions along with the European Coal and Steel Community and the European Atomic Energy Commission as one of the European communities under the 1965 merger treaty. So it's basically their monetary system. It's a market. So in 1993, a complete single market was achieved, known as the internal market, which allowed for the free movement of goods, capital, services, and people within the ECC, within the EEC. In 1994, the internal market was formalized by the EEA agreement. This agreement was also extended the internal market to include most of the member states. But anyway, this is basically they made agreements with each other. They made a union and made agreements with each other so they could move freely between each of these countries, so they wouldn't have any problems with trading or anything like that. So they're giving themselves up to a greater good, so this beast can fully move. Now here, let me go to members. And I'm just going to jump down to the point. So here, once again, that map shows up. And, the green is the founding members, and the blue is the later members. So here we have Belgium, France, West Germany, East Germany, which those represent Germany as a whole, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands. So that's 6 right there. And then you have Denmark, Ireland, and the United Kingdom. Ireland and the UK represent 1 because Ireland is I wouldn't say I would probably say a territory of the UK. Even though Ireland's, they fought for their independence and all this, but they're owned by the UK. Greece, Portugal, and Spain, and being that they occupy that same region, right down here, those represent one. So those represent those 10 kingdoms, and it all has it right here. Now it's split up into more, but it's really those 10. Going back to the 10, going back to Daniel 7. But that's it for that. So that's the 10 horns. And this is NATO, which stands for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now this is the military. So and NATO, let me see here. No, NATO and NATO here in Italian means, and it means begotten, produced, to beget, to give birth. Once again, that birth, reborn. Let's see here in Latin, it says NATO, swim, float, and I think I know it was in Spanish as well. Here in Portuguese, also it means born, having a character or quality from birth. Spanish, natus, nato, meaning born. So going back to that acronym for NATO, it means to be born. Going back to this beast. So where was I? NATO. So here you have the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also called the North Atlantic Alliance, is an intergovernmental military alliance of 32 member states, 30 European and 2 North American. So the 2 North American are the U.S. and Canada. But established in the aftermath of World War II, the organization implements the the North Atlantic Treaty signed in Washington, D.C. on April 4th, 1949. NATO is a collective security system. Its independent member states agree to defend each other against attacks by third parties. So going back to all these shall give their power for the beast. So each one of them, if anybody attacks them, it's attack on them all. During the Cold War, NATO operated as a check on the threat posed by the Soviet Union. The alliance remained in place after the dissolution of the Soviet Union and Warsaw Pact and has been involved in military operations anyway. So let's just go down to let's see here. NATO's main headquarters are located in Brussels. Let's see here. NATO formed with 12 founding members. So let's see here. And pretty much these are the same countries that overlap with the Tin Horns, that overlap with the ECC or the EEC, and these are the seven heads. They also overlap. and with the 10 heads. But it says the following 12 states signed the treaty and thus became founding members of NATO. The following leaders signed the agreement as plenipotentiaries of their countries in Washington, D.C. on April 4th, 1949. So Belgium appears again. Canada. Now, this isn't a part of the... This is one of the founding NATO countries, but this isn't... how do you say it? Like, this isn't... They're not a part of that beast. They're a part of NATO. So Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, the UK, and the United States. And the United States being that whore that sits on the beast. So all these different countries, you know, they're overlapping. Like Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Portugal, and the UK. And then you also have Greece and what is that? West Germany and Spain. So all those are the same countries, the same kingdoms. But back to Revelation 17 and verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. And this is what they both do. Both the EEC, the EU, as well as NATO. They all are giving their power to the beast. Now the beast is controlled through Babylon the Great, that whore. Verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And that's the elect, starting with the 144,000. The elect are going to be with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. He's going to come and gather them at the same time that he's destroying this beast system. All these kingdoms, Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed with fire. And continuing on, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So this is that whore that sitteth on many waters. You know, it's all over the place. You know, she's in everywhere. Matter of fact, I did have an article, just real quick. This is in Daniel as well. It says that horn was more stout than its fellows, meaning more proud. This is an article called "Global Arrogance" from Wikipedia. It says global arrogance is a term used colloquially to describe the culture and economic hegemony of the United States over other countries. It differs from the concept of imperialism, in which one country physically occupies others. Thomas Friedman remarked in 1999 that global arrogance is when your culture, Salakia, and economic clout are so powerful and widely diffused that you do not need to occupy other people to influence their lives. So that whore that sitteth upon many waters, she doesn't actually have to be, even though Babylon the Great is in a lot of places, occupying a lot of different territories with their military, with their different, different things, with their business practices, all that. Like a lot of people, or a lot of so-called Americans, are in a lot of different countries. But this is saying, like, you don't have to be, because a lot of things like like Babylon the Great, getting the whole world drunk, getting it drunk off their, the different philosophies, the different BS that pops out of this place. Like, for instance, the ABC agenda, that's everywhere. And that's spread, everywhere in almost every facet of the earth. They don't actually have to be, around for modes to be about, for that to spread. But that spread through here, you know. But back to Revelation. Revelation 17 and verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, he shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. So, hey, they're gonna these different NATO countries, all these countries that we're supposedly allies with, they're gonna betray this whore. They're gonna turn on her. They're gonna shoot arrows on her. Which the arrows are represent ICBMs. This is Jeremiah. Let me see here. This is Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 12. Your mother shall be sore confounded, and your mother being the UK, because Babylon the Great came out of America, came out of the UK. Was a colony of it. Your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. So this place, how is this place going to become a desert? Through the ICBM thermonuclear destruction. Because of the wrath of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished, and hiss at her all her plagues. So it also says that in Revelation that they're going to see it afar off. They're going to be crying and weeping because they're not going to be able to make any more money off this wicked place. Verse 14, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend a bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So, hey, shooting them arrows, that's the ICBMs. Hey, Babylon the Great is set to be destroyed. This is because all the nations that Babylon the Great, America thinks are cool with it, hey, they're not cool with you. They're seeing that you're weak. They're seeing that you're falling. They're looking to come up now. These different powers are organizing together. They're looking to see who's going to be ruling next after them. But none of them are going to rule, because Yahushua is coming. He's going to take this kingdom. This is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. So you're nothing in the eyes of the heathen. You're getting smaller and smaller every day, and you're hated for all the wickedness that you've done. Everything that you've done around the world, poisoning the air, the water supplies, people's mind, destroying families, destroying homes, bombing countries, destroying generations of lives. And you got a lot to pay for, and everybody around the world hates you. And the number one hater of you is the Israelites for everything that you've done to us. Because now the whole world is seeing not only everything that you've done to us, but they're seeing how you're doing them all around the world. Verse 3, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me to the ground? who shall bring me down to the ground? So, hey, you're speaking up. You got pride in you. You're exuding with pride, just overflowing. Who's going to bring me down to the ground? Who's going to do it? I dare somebody. I dare you. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And I'm just going to jump down. In verse 7, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, and have prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. You don't see this? You don't see what's happening? And you thought everybody was cool with you. You thought you were the coolest dude ever. Meanwhile, people are setting you up. You know, all these countries, you know, a lot of this, when I read about it, you know, it reminds me of stuff that happened in history. Like with Julius Caesar, how all the men came up and stabbed him. Yeah, that's all these countries that you think are your friends. You know, I know in the play, I don't know if he actually said it, but he was like, et tu, Brutus? Like, you too? Yeah, you're going to be surprised how all the nations that are going to fire missiles on you, you're going to be surprised. Even you too? You hate me too? That's why there's no understanding in you. You can't understand that all the stuff that you've done, all the wickedness that you've done, that you've made enemies, you don't care because you up top right now. Verse 8, shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? So all your wise men, all that stuff, they're gone. You're going back to your beast form. You know, you're going back to your original state. The Most High set you up. And now he's bringing you back down. But, I'm going to stop it right here because if I keep going, I don't think this recording will take. So, Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to say all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash, and shalom to 144,000, the rest of you, shalom.